All right, I'll be quiet.
Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, the class studying apples from the orchard the second time, beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe. It is held in memory of Malka Ruth Moshe, Margaret Vogel of memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal Revius HaKluria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, we are at the bottom of 12:11.
Hold on a second.
I'm going to try to do a quick review.
Yep, 12:11.
Okay, this chapter looks at the blessing from Yaakov to Yehuda. And there he says, Yehuda is a gur aryeh, a lion cub. Teref from the prey. Ni Alisa, my son, you rose. Kara, he crouches. Ravatz, he crouched. He lay like a lion. Aryeh Klavi, like a lion, and like a lion, two words like for lion. Miyakimenu, who will rouse him or who will raise him up? And first, in our last class, there was we talked about every word being a reference to Gura. The word gur, cub. Aryeh is 216. Gur is 209, next to 208, Yitzchak. 216 is Gevura. And so on. Every single word we connected with Gevura. But then we connected it to the 288 sparks, or shards that fell when the vessels were shattered. That's when the overpowering light of Tohu. And we spoke about the sparks falling, and this is Yehuda is I guess supposed to repair them. And last week we said that one group of sparks fell into Tzilus. And then, into the Klipa counterpart of Atzilus. And another group of sparks fell into the Klipa counterpart of Bria. And we had a lot of things with numbers. We're going to continue where we left off and how these sparks fell to the different levels of creation. We connected it with Ben. He says, my son, you rose up from the prey. Ben is 52, corresponding to the 52 name, which is Malchus, also 2 times 26. There's Havaya, we said, of Chesed and Havaya Gura, matched that pair up. Together, each one's 26, together they're 52. We have 4 sets like that. Brings us to 208, which is Gura and Yitzchak and Aryeh the lion. We connected it to the 4 sons of the Haggadah. Okay, and 0 pick up 12:11. Number 18. Still others, the 288 sparks, descend into the 3rd level of creation called Yetzirah. This is seen in the next word of the pasuk, Ara, crouched. Yetzirah corresponds to the 6 spheros Zerampin, which in turn correspond to the 6 parts of the body below the head, 2 arms and torso, 2 legs, and the bris milah. So the word he crouched is an appropriate reference for the 6 lower parts of the body. especially the leg where you bend down. Okay, so Jim, begin 1211 at the bottom.
But other sparks from the original 288 descended still lower into the world of Yetzirah. This is alluded to by the next word in Jacob's blessing to Judah. He crouched, referring to how Malchus descends into Yetzirah, in which the 6 extremities are manifest, as is known. The sparks fell to the level of the legs, which are in Yetzirah, that is, to Netzach, Hod, Yesod. So in general, the Sephir of Chachma dominates the world of Asilis. Bina dominates Bria. The Midot dominate Yetzirah, and Malchus dominates Asiya. The 6 extremities are the first 6 Midot, or emotions, that is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. They are termed extremities because they define the 6 directions of 3-dimensional space. That is, up, down, right, left, front, behind. Anatomically, the first 3 of these 6 midot correspond respectively to the right hand, the left hand, and torso. The second 3 correspond to the right leg, the left leg, and the organ of procreation. Thus, the sparks that were absorbed into Yetzirah landed in the lower aspects of that world. The word for he crouched alludes to the legs, since, of course, one crouches by bending his legs.
Thanks. I don't know if we've had this before where we actually go through each word and show the connection, each word. Imagine if this can be done for many other psukim or everything in Torah. The next word, or the other, even just the other things that we're learning, the selection. Next word, ravatz, lay down. Is there another word for the besides the animal crouches? I don't remember an English word. He lay down, or the animal totally.
Well, prostrate is one, but
Yeah, no, the animals lay down.
Okay.
I mean, they do. Most animals do that.
All right.
In fact, I think they do that probably more than crouching, but whatever.
When they're totally just like straight down on the ground.
Yeah,
Both 4 legs.
4 legs. They got 2 out, 2 back, whatever.
It's called laying down.
Yeah.
Next word, ravatz, refers to sparks that fell into the last level of creation. Asiya, ravatz. He laid down, went all the way down. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
So next word he laid down refers to the sparks that fell into Asiya, which is beneath the feet. In the paradigm, the word for Asiya, which manifests the Sephir of Malchus, which is sometimes considered the 7th Midah, corresponds, to the earth beneath the feet. Yeah, the animals are on top of the earth, of the anatomical representation of the Sephardic array.
Okay. 20. Okay, so the sparks fell into each of the 4 levels of creation.
Mm-hmm.
The next word, aryeh, like the lion, corresponds back to the 3rd level, Yetzirah, which is associated with the name Aleph Lamed, El. As we've said before, aryeh is 216. So Hashem's name Aleph Lamed is 31. How an expanded spelling, it's Aleph Lamed Pei, Lamed Mem Daled, 1 plus 30 plus 80, plus 30 plus 40 plus 4 is 185. If you add regular gematria with the gematria of the expanded spelling, 31 and 185 is 216.
Mm-hmm.
We said that's 3 times 10, 72. It's aryeh. Aryeh is 72. Aryeh is 216. It's and it's 3 72s. is 216. Go ahead, Jim.
The next word as a lion refers to Yetzirah, in which is manifested the name Kale, both simply and spelled out, summing to, or I say summing up to, 216. The verse therefore refers to Judah in this context as a lion, since the numerical value of Kale, both simply and spelled out, which is manifest in Yetzirah, is the same as that of the word for lion as above. In contrast, the next word, and like an awesome lion, is said in
Hold on.
reference.
Let me read the next thing.
Okay.
21. The next word, lavi, another word for lion. Here they translated awesome lion. It corresponds to Asiya, fourth level. Again, its gematria is 43, which is close to the 42 name of Hashem. Now, we've always had name of 72, 63, 45, and 52. We haven't had a 42 name of Hashem.
Right.
We did have. He says, see above page 676. I think we had it a few months ago also. 42 name is made of the first letters of Ana B'Choach. We say several times in daily prayers and Shabbat prayers. Are you all familiar with the paragraph Ana B'Choach? Okay, I'll show you. It was written by Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, Tana, it means a rabbi of the Mishnah, who is the author of Sefer Hakana. Called Ben Hakana was actually his father's name, or was his title, and he's the author of Sefer Hakana. I started it once, and it was like, it starts with gracious, it was like a medrash type thing. Right, at least the beginning was. The 42 name is the name of Torah. One moment, I'm going to get the sitter. Okay, so Ana B'Choach is in the morning davening for Ezehu Mekoman during the Karbanos. It's in the night, the Shema that we say before we go to bed, and it's in the Shabbos Friday night davening before L'Chadodi. It's also said when we count the Omer. We say it when we count the Omer, and every day corresponds to one letter. So if you have the annotated edition, it's 157 at the top. I implore you by the great power of your right hand. Drum roll. The Ana B'Choach, this paragraph, has 7 lines. The 8th line is Baruch, Shem, Vod, and so on. The Ana B'Choach has 7 lines. Each line has 6 words. Names of Hashem found, or the 42 name, are found in the initials of the 42 words. So it's Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Yud, Tav, Tzadi, Kuf, Resh, Ayin, Sin, Tes, Nun, and so on. This is the 42 name of Hashem. It's interesting that they're not written 6 letters together with the quotation marks before the last one. It's written 3 by 3. And I remember explaining this last time. The syntax here, the wording, the syntax are really awkward. It doesn't follow a normal pattern of speech. In the English, I'm not sure if they really capture it so well. But in Hebrew, read in the choice of words also seems to be, I'm going to say, seems to be awkward in a very superficial reading. the syntax, the choice of words seems to be very unusual or awkward. We implore you, the strength of the greatness of your right hand, release, it says release the captive, release the one who is bound. Not a word you find often. Accept the prayer or praise or song of people. Strengthen us, purify us, O awesome one. Please, mighty one, those who seek your oneness, like the pupil of the eye, watch over them. Bless them, purify them. And line 5. Chasin. What's chasin? Powerful. Kadosh. Holy. Rov tuvcha, you're great in your vast goodness. Nahel adasecha, guide your congregation. The next line. Yachid. Unique. Proud. To your nation, turn. Those who remember your holiness. The things are very unusual. In fact, we had a few weeks ago, and maybe 3-4 weeks ago, we had a reference to the 70 names of Hashem.
Mhm.
I mentioned them. I was able to look it up, and I found that it's written in the Medrash. It's referred to in the Medrash. The offerings of the tribes, the leaders of the tribes, with the 70, a bowl, silver bowl that weighed 70 shekel. And the Medrash lists a bunch of things that 70 stands for. One of them is the 70 names of Hashem. So in the commentaries, down in the Art Scroll, they look to find the 70 names of Hashem, and they actually write that there are 2 commentaries who list the 70 names. Except each of the commentaries lists only 67. There are 3 in the commentaries that are different one from the other. So altogether, we would have 70. In other words, 64 of them are common. They write in common, or both commentaries. They also write, I think, over there, one of the names that they have is the word chasin. Here they translate it as powerful. I don't know if this name is mentioned anywhere else. It's a reference to Hashem. Okay, so this is the Ana B'choch. Why did I mention it?
Aleph Lamed, yeah.
42 name is made of the first letters of Ana B'choch that we say several times during the daily and the Shabbos prayers, written by Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana. Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana, so he was involved probably in learning Kabbalah, and as a general rule, the rabbis of the Mishnah were either involved in Talmud, or they specialized either in Talmud or in Kabbalah. The ones who were specializing in Kabbalah probably, I'm going to say, probably were much fewer, although they were all well versed in both. Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana is mentioned occasionally in the Gemara. He is mentioned in Pirkei Avos, which is a Mishnah. There was only one rabbi who was specialized in both, and that was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, of course. So this is, okay, I stopped you in the middle, Tim.
Right. Okay. So in contrast, the next word, and like an awesome lion, is said in reference to what fell into Asiya, for there is manifest the 42-letter name, which expresses Gevurah, as alluded to by the numerical value of the word for awesome lion when the kolel is added. So the numerical value of the name Kale is 1 plus 30, 31. When spelled out, the numerical value is 1 plus 30 plus 80 plus 30 plus 40 plus 4 equals 111 plus 74 is 185. And 31 plus 185 is 216. There are several synonyms for lion in Hebrew. The word here, translated as awesome lion, refers to an unidentified species of lion or all lions when they are particularly, I guess, ferocious. The grammar's wrong here. Particularly ferocious. The numerical value of the word for awesome lion is 30 plus 2 plus 40 plus 1, 43. The 42-letter name is not one of the 4 spellings out of the name Kavaya, but a separate name formed from the initials of a prayer by Rabbi Nechaniah ben Chakena. It is recited as part of the liturgy when an ascent from one world to the next occurs, and thus is associated with the Sephira of Gevurah, which, like its physical manifestation in the form of fire, represents the tendency to ascend back into the source or to withhold divine beneficence, keeping it within its source.
Okay. So those are the next 2 words. Ka'aryeh, like a lion. Kalavi, like a lion, or a ferocious lion, awesome lion. 22. So Yehuda was an ancestor of King David, and he represents Malchus, kingship, royalty, sovereignty. Yehuda could only repair the second stage of creation, Bria, but not anything lower. It can only repair one moment. Sparks in the second stage of creation. The last words of the pasuk, Miyakimenu, who will raise him up, refer to a descendant of Yehuda, Naomi. Naomi was the mother-in-law of Ruth, who encouraged her into a relationship with Boaz. This one ended happily. They end up marrying. Their great-grandson was David. The end of this pasuk says, "Mi kimenu," who will raise him up. The word "mi," who, corresponds to Bina. Mi is 50. There are 50 portals of understanding of Bina. That's from the Gemara. Mi is also the last 2 letters of Hashem's name, Elohim. Okay, Jim, go ahead. 12:13.
So all this, the descent into the sparks of Yetzirah and Asiya, was not rectified by Jacob then during his lifetime. Rather, the one who will rectify these sparks is alluded to in the next words of the verse, who will rouse him, referring to Naomi, who personified the sweetness of Ima. That is the name Ekia, spelled out with the letter Yud, by means of the couple that she facilitated between Ruth and Boaz.
I think a better word here is match, by means of the match that she facilitated.
Right, the match would be better. It was then that these worlds were rectified, as will be presently explained. The word who, me, in the phrase who will rouse him, refers to the Sephira Bina and its corresponding parts of Ima. Since the numerical value of this word, 40 plus 10 is 50, we are taught that there are 50 gates of Bina. Thus, the lower feminine principle, Malchut, as personified by Judah, was only able to affect the rectification of Bria, but not that of the lower worlds of Yesira and Asiya. Only the higher feminine principle, Bina, was able to do this. This accords with the principle that the higher an entity is, the lower the level to which it is able to safely descend and which it is able to rectify.
In other words, a lower thing can only repair something close to it. You need to repair something that's further away, you need to reach higher up.
Okay.
The Yehuda is Malchus. Well, we're going to speak about this.
The name Naomi is derived from the word for sweet and can even be seen as a contraction of the words for sweetness of who? That is the sweetness of Bina. The name Ekia, I will be, from Hashem's statement to Moses, I will be whom I will be, is spelled out thus using yods to spell out the hays. So we have Hey, Yud Vav Daled, Hey, and then Aleph. Naomi was the mother-in-law of Ruth. As recounted in the book of Ruth, Naomi was the wife of Elimelech, who was a descendant of Judah in the time of the judges. Elimelech and Naomi had two sons, Machlon and Kilion. On account of a famine, the four moved from Bethlehem to Moab, where Machlon and Kilion married two Moabitesses, Ruth and Orpah, respectively. After Elimelech and his two sons died, Naomi decided to return to the land of Israel, and Ruth accompanied her and later met and married Boaz. Their child, Ovid, was the ancestor of King David.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to look. There was something here. Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah, Jim, stick around. May have a question for you. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Naomi, we just had this. Naomi means present. This is represented by the name Ekia. Aleph, Hey, Yud, Hey. In expanded spelling with Yuds, and you have the two Heys there with Hey, Yud. The level of Naomi, Bina, is higher than Malchus. Here's the bottom line. Level of Naomi is Bina. It's higher than Malchus, level of Yehuda.
Mm-hmm.
So Naomi, and so the level of Bina is able to repair the third and fourth levels of creation, Sira and Asiya.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yehuda, being Malchus, lowest Sira, is only able to repair Bria, the second level, which is adjacent to Malchus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, 24. While Naomi personified Bina, Boaz, that's the one she married, like Yehuda, personified Malchus. Boaz can be seen as Boaz. Strength is in him. And we have a pasuk that we say in the davening, Hashem oz la'amo yitain. Hashem gives strength to his people. So this is the word oz. taken Boaz. Let's do the next one, 25. Two sons of Naomi were Machlon and Kilion, who married Ruth and Orpah and died childless. They were similar to the two sons of Yehuda, Er and Onan, who took precautions not to have children, and were killed by Hashem. Machlon means profane, and Kilion means extinction, because they deserve to die. Chronicles, their names are given as Yoash and Saraf, which would imply they gave up hope of redemption, and they deserved to be put to death by burning. So we draw a comparison between the two sons of Naomi, Machlon and Kilion, and the two sons of Yehuda, Er and Onan. Both died childless. We know that Er and Onan intentionally remained childless. They were killed. Machlon and Kilion had other issues. They also did not have children, but they were halted leaving Israel. They were a prominent family. It was a time of famine, and instead of sticking around and lending and leading, they left the land of Israel, traveled east to Moab, and they ended up marrying there. It was to show support for their Jewish brethren, and over there they ended up marrying these two sisters of noble descent, Ruth and Orpah. Christian, go ahead. 12:13 at the bottom. Boaz.
Boaz personified exactly the same spiritual principle as Judah, that means Malchus, as can be seen from the fact that it is referred to in the verse, Hashem will give strength to his people. This is what is alluded to in the name Boaz, which can be read as strength is in it. Malchon and Kilion relived the lives of Eir and Onan, while Ovid came to work the earth to remove the thorns from it, and thus rectified everything.
I'm in the middle of a class.
Boaz was a descendant of Judah, and as we see here, a re-manifestation of Judah, although the Arizal does not state here that that was necessarily a reincarnation of him. His name Boaz can be seen as a contraction of two words for strength is in it, Boaz. The strength here mentioned being understood as the power of sovereignty or malchus within the Jewish people. Judah's first two sons, Er and Onan, were killed by Hashem because they committed the sin of wasting semen through coitus interruptus. Malchon and Kilion are also described as being less than ideal, as we are told in the Talmud. According to Rav, Malchon and Kilion were also called Yoash and Saraf, because they gave up hope for the redemption and because they incurred the divine penalty of death by burning. According to Shmuel, their given names were Yoash and Saraf, but they also call Machlon and Kilion because they made their bodies profane and incurring the divine penalty of death by extinction. Thus, their deaths without living children is similar to the deaths of Er and Onan, who also died before having children.
Okay, one moment.
Yeah.
25. Thank you. 26. On the other hand,
Naomi, it says Noami. 25, go a little up.
26.
Oh.
I'm changing. On the other hand, the son of Ruth was named Oved, which means work. If you guys know anyone named Obed, we've had one person who went to Sheva Wolf's class, not Jewish, whose name was Obed. It's the son of Ruth, which means work. The same word is used when the Torah says Adam worked the land, which we understand to mean he kept mitzvahs. It's also used when the Torah says that Hevel worked the land. So what we're seeing is that Oved worked the land, meaning he repaired damage of Adam. Adam planted seeds and reaped thorns, euphemism for klipa. Oved now is cleaning up this problems of Adam. Okay, go ahead, name Oved.
The name Obed also means worker, and this alludes to his role as a new Adam, who was placed by Hashem in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. Inasmuch as part of the punishment for Adam's sin was that the earth will bring forth thorns and thistles for you. Removing these thorns and thistles, both literal and figurative, both literal and figuratively, or wherever, is the rectification of Adam's sin and the prerequisite for the redemption.
Okay. 27, 28, 29, 27. Oved, son of Ruth, was the only person in Tanakh with this name. I was looking on Shabbos, some of the names of the descendants of Esau, and not all of them are strange names. For example, I noticed that there's someone named Knaz, and Knaz was the person who married the mother of Caleb. I guess his father had passed away, and he remarried someone named Knaz. So it's in the it's in with a Jewish name as well, but it's in the nations of Esau. It's interesting to go and look with a critical eye at the names. So Oved was the only person in Tanakh with this name. Zohar says he worked the land and changed it from a poor field with foul wells. Apparently means that the waters are either muddy or putrid, unfit for consumption. This means he cleaned it up, klipas. In Yaakov's Bracha Yehudi, he said, "Who will raise him?" This refers to Naomi, a descendant of Yehuda, who could accomplish what Yehuda could not. Yehuda could only repair so much, and his descendant, Boaz, will marry Ruth and have a Ruth, daughter-in-law of Naomi, who will continue to repair through Boaz, David, Mashiach, what Yehuda was not capable of. Go ahead.
As it is written in the section of the Zohar known as the Saba of Parshat Mishpatim, he was named Ovid, that means worker, a name that no other person merited to receive, for he came and worked the land and tilled it, work on it, and thereby left the domain of the bad field that is full of foul wells, meaning that he removed the physical and spiritual manifestations of the shells that had attached themselves to it. This is the mystical meaning of the phrase, who will rouse him? The Saba of Mishpatim is a section of the Zohar that records the wisdom of an old man, Saba, who reveals the secrets of reincarnation and transmigration contained in the section of the Torah dealing with the laws of govern the Hebrew slave. Thus, although we have seen previously that Jacob rectified the sin of Adam to a certain extent by being an exemplary husband and father, it still remained for Judah to set the process in motion, whereby Adam's sin could be rectified completely. He accomplished part of this rectification himself, but was unable to complete it. This task was left for his descendant, the Mashiach, who specifically will spring from the union of Boaz and Ruth, which was arranged by Naomi. As Arizal has explained, this was because Judah lacked sufficient Ima consciousness to elevate the last 72 sparks, the final fourth of the 288 primordial general sparks that fell to the lowest world, Asiya. Naomi, who possessed this consciousness, was able to use it to facilitate a union whose children would avoid the pitfalls into which Judah's initial offspring fell. In our personal lives, we attain this Ima consciousness is while, something is not grammatical here.
Yes, it is.
While reciting the Shema and contemplating its inner meaning.
Okay.
Take out the is.
Yeah.
Thank you. I circled it. I'm way behind on sending in my
Yeah.
corrections. The word Shema is written in the Torah with a large ayin. Ayin is 70. And it refers to the 7 midos. A large ayin refers to the source of the 7 midos in Bina. It seems that of the 288 sparks, 72 landed in each of the 4 stages of creation. It was a perfect math word, a statistics word.
Division.
What?
Division. It was a perfect division.
Division.
Yeah. They divided into 4 equal parts.
Okay. It repairs the 206. So this large ayin repairs the 216 sparks of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, the lower 3 levels of creation. Again, this is what Yaakov had in mind in the blessing to Yehuda. Who can raise him up? The word who, me, referring to Bina, as we said before.
Mhm.
Okay, Gershon, go ahead. Page 1215.
Therefore, when we recite the Shema, we draw divine consciousness upon Malchus from the enlarged ayin, that means from Ima, to the 216 of the 288 sparks that ascended. For no one can rectify this fall other than Ima, who is alluded by the word who in the phrase, who can rouse him. The numerical value of the letter ayin is 70. It thus alludes to the 7 lower sephiros, the midos, in their mature form, each comprising the full array of 10 sub-sephiros. In Torah scrolls, the letter ayin is in the word Shema, is written larger than usual. This alludes to the larger version of the 7.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, 70 midos. That means the source of the midos in the 7 lower sub-sephiros of Ima, or in other words, the source of the emotions within the intellect.
One moment, please. Remember when I stopped before, if you remember, not here. I stopped before and I bounced around. I said, asked Jim to hang on. I was looking up the dictionary. I forgot the class. And it says, qua. I don't think you can see it. Quay, qua. Hold on.
It's a good Scrabble word.
Listen. Both correct. It says in the capacity or character of, as. Discussing the story, qua story. Which way or as, derivative of the Latin qui, meaning who. Qua has been serving English in the capacity of a preposition since the 17th century. It's a learned, handy little word that led one 20th century usage writer comment. Usage writer? Comment. Qua is sometimes thought affected or pretentious. It does convey meaning economically. Okay. And so, Jim, what do you think about that? What
Well,
do you have to say about that?
sine qua non. Right? That's the expression, right?
What does that mean?
Without comparison.
With
Okay, so non is without, and I
seen
guess
is without. Seen is without.
Sine is without.
Seen is without.
Seen is without.
Yeah.
Qua is like any
Yeah.
or like. Oh, it's as or like.
Like without as as.
Okay.
Or like.
Or qua non without.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. And then, so we repair 3 levels every day when we say Shema. Shema and its brachas correspond to Bina.
Mhm.
The large ayin is in Shema, saying it with focus. We elevate the sparks of the lower three levels.
Hmm.
Version 12:15 in the middle.
And every day we elevate Malchus only until Berea, which is why we recite the Shema after the blessing. Blessed are you who forms light, which is the rectification of Berea. The first
Mhm.
half of the morning liturgy can be divided into 4 sections corresponding to our ascent through the 4 worlds as follows. Asiya, morning blessings. Yetzirah, verses of praise. Berea, the recital of the Shema and its preceding and following blessings. And Atzilus, the Amida, standing silent prayer. Thus, the Shema is recited in the section of the liturgy corresponding to the world of Berea. Once we have reached the culmination of this level, our souls are absorbed by themselves into the world of Atzilus, which is the total dissolution of the self-awareness in the overwhelming presence of Hashem. This is why the recitation of the Amida is prefaced by the phrase, Hashem, open my lips that my mouth may recount your praise, indicating that at that level we have lost all self-assertion and therefore ask Hashem, so to speak, to animate us and pray to himself through us. This is true messianic consciousness, our daily personal redemption, which prepares us to both hasten and experience the ultimate messianic redemption.
And Rudy, that's the end of the chapter.
Okay.
So the bottom line is that we've learned that this blessing to Yehuda is all about Gvura. It's about the 288 sparks that were shards that broke, shattered, and were dispersed among the 4 levels of creation, or among the counterparts of the 4 levels of creation. And Yehuda and his descendants, Boaz, Naomi, Boaz, Ruth, and Oved, reclaim the sparks of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. And that's, I guess, 72 for each. That's 216 again. Go 216 back where we started. And that is the bottom line.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 is not bad.
I'm wondering if we're working on the on Atzilus now.
You're wondering if what?
If we are working on reclaiming sparks of the first level of creation on Atzilus, being that we're working towards Mashiach, with the era of Mashiach. Is that what I mean? Oh no.
We'll know one day. May Hashem let us see them.
Yes.
We got somewhere.
Or maybe it's written in the next chapter. We also had the idea that 188 sparks. We found out that it's a multiple of 72.
Mhm.
We had some more insight into 216. 372s.
So what's very interesting is, if I may just digress for a moment, because I think it's rather relevant, is you may or may not have heard about Facebook changing its name to Meta, right?
Yeah.
And that's because of this concept called metaverse, which is the coalescence of different senses and forms of media and community into one platform. Well, what's very interesting is that metaverse is a single form of ecosystem, but then there's even a larger verse, and it's called multiverse. So there are now books that are coming out that I've seen with titles, and these are written by non-Jews, okay? And it's called The Age of the Multiverse. And there are even subtitles that come along with some of these books that's saying coming to know God, and how all these various forms of consciousness and media are coalescing together, where it's becoming indisputable that God exists. How fascinating. And it's all
This is derived, or it's understood through the metaverse,
it is understood through the metaverse.
through the multiverse. What do you call it?
Multiverse is a growth from the metaverse. The metaverse has only come into existence because of the internet. Okay. So you can see, anyone who's a believer can see the natural course of progression that is occurring through technology for ultimately the world to recognize that there is one God. Just a little comment.
Okay, thank you. You've heard of the metaverse before Facebook changed its name?
Metaverse is a concept that's been around for a couple decades, but multiverse is something new. And you may have heard of multiverse through comic books, right? Where they create a story arc, and they bring in all these different characters from different occurrences, and they bring them together, where certain chains of events have occurred that brings Batman together with Superman. So when you bring all these players together, it creates a multiverse. And Kabbalistically, I mean, when you think about it, and there's even one title, he's written by a Jewish guy from MIT, and his prognostication is that the multiverse is that we're all really living inside of a video game.
Hey, I've been saying that for years.
No, I mean, when you think about it, when you actually give some thought to it, what's our reality? Our reality is only defined by what we see, right? Take away sight, and it's an entirely different reality.
I want to make so many different jokes. Okay, it sounds like Einstein.
But
You
this
just
is what
said.
we're learning. I mean,
Well, you
this
just
is what
said
we're
it sounds like
learning.
theory of relativity.
Okay, but this is what we're learning. We're learning this, right? Anabakoach, Hashem's name. It's a very, very powerful prayer. Very powerful. One of our, some say that it's as powerful as the Shema. Maybe even more
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. What strikes me is the awkwardness, like of the words. Okay, we have these letters, we have these initials. Let's make a poem out of the initials, and then like an acrostic. And now in 6 words to a line.
Well, the second line, and it says you're just supposed to look at the acronyms. You're not supposed to read them out loud, but the second line is indented. And the second word is the acronym for, you know who, right? The guy with the
Voldemort?
Sutton, right?
Oh, the whole line. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole line. Correct. I'm sorry.
These
I
are,
meant just the first word.
these are
The,
these are names of Hashem.
And it's obviously it's much deeper than what I say.
Oh, it's
The
very
awkwardness,
deep.
the off balance of the words, the words that are chosen, of the order of the words, only point to a much deeper meaning, much more profound than just a superficial reading of it. I wish I had something. I did find one in the Shalah, not in the regular Shalah. I did find once a few page of explanations. It says to read it, I think 7 times at the funeral, like serious stuff there. So
It's like Chizkiyahu, the vision of the Merkava, right? Yaakov's face is used on the Merkava. And that was a very interesting incident in that there was a breach, right? There was a breach between the spiritual world and this world. For some reason, at that particular moment in time, Hashem revealed himself through the Merkava.
Mm-hmm. What's known as the heavenly chariot.
Yeah, Yaakov Avinu's face is on that.
Yes. That's why the angels were going up and down the ladder.
Right. We read
Came
about
to the
that.
bottom. Mhm.
It was in last week's Parsha.
They came to the bottom. They saw Yaakov. They climbed back up the ladder and saw his face in the chariot.
Exactly. So what's
Went
going
down
on
and they
here?
Yeah, how can he be in both places at the same time?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, very nice.
All very interesting thoughts brought about by this